Hey there, welcome back to another review, and this time it is of the Matrix Reloaded. And at the end of the video, I'll show a little bit more of this box set. But I wanted to get right into the review because I think this one and the sequel are pretty damn underrated. I saw this in the theater twice and I enjoyed it both times. I don't just love the first film, I love the entire trilogy. I didn't get much into that in the first film because the first film, for the most part, is accepted for good reason. But the sequels, the Wachowskis, they took a risk. And maybe box office wise, it paid off. At the same time, there was so much hype for it that it probably would have made a good chunk of money no matter what it was. But in the long run, it does get a bad rep. But they took a chance, and I like the chance the Wachowskis took. Where the first movie was a great film. Most people, including me, would say it's the best of the three. But it was men are good, machines are bad, men versus machines, which we've seen many times before, we'll see many times after, whether it be Edge of Tomorrow or even Against the Aliens and Independence Day and many other films. Great films. But the Wachowskis wanted to take a risk. It's funny, people say I don't like stuff that's different or I don't like stuff that tries something new. Yet I could be a fan of the Matrix sequels, which did try to do something new. In my opinion, it achieved. Of course, if you think the films are boring or slow or tedious, we agree to disagree. I found nothing. I think the sequels, as well as the first one, entertaining and interesting and intriguing. And the more you go deep into it, the more interesting it gets. Whether talk about philosophy, talk about ideology, or just the fact that when you get into the sequels, how it's not just the typical us versus them, it's the fact that we have to work together, we have to be together, mind, body, and spirit. Imagine the Matrix as the mind, imagine the body as the humans in Zion, imagine the spirit as the machines, maybe the ghost in the machine, the fact that when Neo sees it, it's this bright yellow light from time to time, especially at the end of Revolutions, which I'm surprised that wasn't called Matrix Revelations. It's about, even there's a line of dialogue from the Oracle. We're in this together. We have to do this together, and that's the gist of the entire theme. Is nothing is in harmony until all are one. Hence, he's called the One. And in a way, that's true. Granted, I love plenty of movies where it's good guy kicking the bad guy's ass. But in reality, we do have to be together. Otherwise, there's always going to be wars. There's always going to be bad shit happening. And you have to look at yourself and see that you yourself is flawed. It's like an alcoholic. An alcoholic has to admit they're an alcoholic before they can move forward. I love America. I love America. I'm glad to be an American. But as an American, we have to admit that we're not perfect. If we say other things aren't perfect, we're not perfect either. But once you admit that, then you can overcome things. I love to say we're the best country in the world, but there's a lot of bad shit that happens, a lot of stupid shit, or stupid people in power, stupid stuff happens. It's like there's a speech by Jeff Daniels, I forget the TV show, but it's a great speech that Jeff Daniels has on, not the newsroom, but I forget what it was. And it's like, I love being American, I love America, but we have a lot to learn, we have a lot to do, and once you look at the problems, then we can be better. But you have to look at the problems first. That's sort of the thing with the sequels. They took the first movie where it was us versus them, man versus machine, in the tradition of Star Wars, good versus evil. And it's like, well, wait a minute, there's a lot more to it. It tried to be more complicated. It tried to be more interesting. A lot of people got bored by it. But to me, even the first time, like, there's something more to this. And with each viewing, I get more and more out of it. When I listen to the commentary by the philosophers, I get more and more out of it. I appreciate the movies for doing that. I appreciate it because there's a dime a dozen movies nowadays that, oh, you don't like something different. Well, this tried to be different. It tried to be like, you know what, let's take that, let's flip it on its head. It was a risk the Wachowskis took, and in a way, they lost because nowadays people look at the Matrix Trilogy as a flawed trilogy or as a shitty trilogy. They'll give the first film the pass, but the sequels not so much. But I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the chance that they took. Yeah, there's a part of me that wonders about the world where you had the Matrix Trilogy, where it's just a man, they go after the machines, they kick their ass. But there's plenty of other movies I can see for that. Edge of Tomorrow is a perfect example. I love Edge of Tomorrow. There's many other movies. And those I thought the ideas it was introducing made me think of anime. And I'm not a big anime guy. I guess I'm just more of a live action guy. But this is the best anime to live action films ever made, in my opinion. And I love the idea when you get to the third film where, you know, him fighting Smith, it's this back and forth, and they both collide, and things keep more exploding. You realize, no, it's not about fighting, it's about working together. And that's when you let Smith in, and then they're all connected. And because they're all connected, that's when the war can truly end instead of this cycle. Whether it be cycle of violence, cycle of turmoil, this cycle of control. And I appreciate the movies letting me think of all these ideas, and there's plenty more that other people can make better reviews and more intricate reviews of. But I thank the sequels for letting me think about stuff like that. On top of that, having kick-ass music, whether it be the techno, orchestral type of music, a lot of beautiful pieces of music in this one, as well as the previous one and the next one. Don Davis and the others did a great job, whether it be during the highway chase sequence or the Burly Brawl sequence, or and speaking of which, not just the music is great and there's good songs, but I love just as a visual piece. It's a beautiful looking movie, great cinematography, a lot. There's a lot of practical stuff. It's not just everything in a computer. Yeah, when they have the big mech suits, which I think look better here than they do in fucking Avatar. I know you just say previously you had Aliens, which I love those in Aliens, the best. But compared to Avatar, I swear James Cameron stole the things in this. Maybe it's in this. Probably not. Nope. But I'm sure he stole that from fucking Matrix Revolutions for Avatar when they're in those mech suits. But a lot of fight scenes are practical. The highway sequence, there's a lot of CGI enhancements, but there's a lot of real stuff. And it's the blending of the two. That's what people say. Do a blend of the two. And the highway scene is insane. And the action set pieces in this are insane. That's why I never understood the people who said they were bored by it. I mean, I can't change their opinion. It's not my fucking job to. All I say is I highly disagree. Was I in the theater? I saw it twice. I wasn't bored. The one scene I'll give you, because I didn't understand what the hell was going on, because it flew by my 20-year-old head, bald head. I wasn't bald then. Through by my head was when Colonel Sanders showed up. He's the architect, but he looks like fucking Colonel Sanders. I'm waiting for him to give me a bucket of KFC. And he's just going through all this dialogue. I'm like, what the fuck? Whoa. It really does feel like the movie does stop for... It literally does stop for exposition. And I think there's a way the directors could have handled that exposition better than literally having the movie stop and Colonel Sanders looking motherfucker explaining the Neo, all this stuff. But granted, watching it years later and in the comfort of my home and putting on the subtitles and okay, that's what okay, what he's saying is interesting to me. But yeah, I do think there's a better way you could have done that. That's the one scene I'll give where I have a problem with it. And he does look like Colonel Sanders. That's another thing. Just give him the fucking glasses. It's Colonel Sanders. With my bucket of chicken. But the actual set pieces, the beautiful shots at the beginning where Trinity goes off the motorcycle and the motorcycle collides and blows up. The Burly Brawl scene where there's hundreds of Agent Smiths. And I did people like, well, why can't he fly? Well, he needs is throughout the movie. I understood that he needs a startup to fly. Like he gets down and then he flies. They show that repeatedly throughout the movie. They show that when he finally is able to fly out of that scene. Well, the first time we see him fly, when he's got to get to the highway and he does this. He's got to work himself up to fly. I could see that and understand it. But I don't know if a lot of people miss that. The movie didn't need to explain it to me. I could figure it out on my own. And that's why there's hundreds of Smiths, because if he tries to fly, they grab him, they pull him down, they grab him some more. It takes until they get on top of him and does fuck off, and they explode. Maybe that's the second thing I can give you. Yes, some of the CGI is not 100% photorealistic when you get to the third part of the scene. But I still love the scene. I love when he does the 360, especially when I was watching the 2003 Ninja Turtles cartoon, and there's an episode where Donatello tries to do that move. Oh, I'm going to do a move from one of my favorite movies. And he tries to do the 360 move on the bow, and he falls down on his ass. See, that's humor that worked well, speaking of turtles, but I already did that video on the new one. But I think of that. It reminds me of that, being a Ninja Turtles fan. Donatello references this movie, which I like that bit. I love the look of it. I love the look of it. I love what they attempted to do. I love that scene. Just beating ass left and right, doing flips, jumping all around. Fucking Smith's flying all over the place. He gets this thing from the ground, uses it as a staff, and that's where he gets some kicking in the 360. And I love the music in that scene. Getting so excited, my body's dripping in excitement. The highway chase scene is fucking insane. She's got Morpheus, Trinity, getting this guy the key maker, go to the gatekeeper from Ghostbusters. Not really. And you have these two almost albino looking motherfuckers who are like ghosts. Like they can turn the ghosts, which has some cool, interesting things they do with that. Like he stands there, turns their ghost, and then we get back to his car that's driving by. And it goes from getting shot at, going to the highway, fighting inside the car because one of the ghosts flies into the car, and they have a back and forth between Morpheus, Trinity, and this ghost figure, to the agents coming by, jumping on a car, flipping over, jumping on top, which they stop in order to get him the fuck off, to Morpheus getting down, using the sword, cutting the tire, it flipping over, badass turn, the gas tank blowing it up, well shot. This is how you shoot action scenes, not the fucking shaky cam, not the fucking editing every fucking 5 milliseconds. This is how you shoot action scenes. This is how you shoot fight scenes. And, badass, like Morpheus gets some badass moments where he cuts the tire, shoots. Then Trinity's on a motorcycle and she has to drive against traffic. You're narrowly moving out of way of cars at a very, very high speeds. And then Morpheus gets on a semi-truck, grabs a key maker. He's fighting this agent, almost get tipped off. It even lands on a car that Jada Pinkett is driving, who used to like Morpheus and is there to help Morpheus. He jumps back up, kicks the agent off. Then the two semis are going to collide. Boom, the Keymaker, Morpheus are flying slow motion explosion, and there's Neo flying like Superman. True Superman moment. Hell, you just say this and the sequel are some of the best Superman movies made in decades. Since the Christopher Reeve movies. At least the first two or three. And Neo comes in, Superman. Even the one guy, Harold Perrineau, he plays the character Link. He's one of the guys on the Nebuchadnezzar, the ship. He's been in other films. He was in 28 Weeks Later and a few others. He even says, oh, he's doing a Superman thing. And later on, when Neo has to go, he's at the source, he's talked to Architect, he even does the Superman. I love that. I mean, there you go. Keanu Reeves is Superman. And the fight scenes in the chateau with, Neo using size, which I wish, being a Ninja Turtle fan, I wish Raphael would have a fight scene like this with size like Neo gets to do in this movie. I like, people complain because their fights are too long. Considering how so many fucking fights are so goddamn short, you blink and you miss it, I'm glad to have fight scenes long. I'm glad for it. Unless the shitty movies like that fucking Tip Boxer remake and sequel to remake. But, I love the action set pieces. I think the visual effects are pretty damn good for a film that was 15 years ago. I really do. I love the cast. Morpheus, nice to see him get to do some cool badass things. Trinity as well. Carrie Moss, Keanu Reeves, Agent Smith coming back, and more to his character where, because of what happened at the end of the first movie, he's changed. You really get a sense of the dualness is not really a word, but the dual, how do I put it? Neo and Smith, how they're linked together, but they're opposites, but there's a lot of similarities too, which really leads into the third movie a lot. But how Neo is changing and evolving, Smith is changing and evolving, and it'll lead to the actual end, not the typical the end, which I appreciate. And I like the idea that he can multiply himself. He just boom and what's funny, in the first film, he mentions how he hates humans because you're a virus, you're a plague. And now he himself has become a virus. A virus in the Matrix, which by the third film, they want Neo to take him out because he's literally become a virus in the Matrix. That's what I mean. When you watch these films and you can see certain, say, oh, okay, that's right. In the first film, when he's talking to Morphe, he's talking about he hates the viruses, and now he's become a virus. That's what I mean. There's a lot more to these films that people give credit to. There really is. And then even when Smith takes over one person who's a human, and then they're able to get back into the real world, which will lead into the beginning of the third film. Interesting idea. And that's a really, I'll get to that when I talk about the third movie. And the guy who plays Link, I thought he was fun. I like when he's trying to see his girls, like, where's my puss? He's supposed to say, where's my pussy? He's like, where's my pussy? He has to stop himself because kids are there. I know people complain about Zion. Yeah, I mean, it's not the most intriguing place, but hey, it looked fun. It looked like everyone's dancing, having an orgy fest. I like to be there with this techno music, bumping music. I was fine with Zion. A lot of people I know, even back in the day alone, they complain about the Zion scenes. It didn't bother me as much. I like getting to know this place and some good character actors like Anthony Zerbe, who's been in quite a few films. He was the guy in See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Richard Pryor, who's the bad guy at the end, who's also blind, along with Richard Pryor. And he's been in a lot of other stuff. Anthony Zerbe. He was in Star Trek Insurrection, because I reviewed the Star Trek films recently. He was in that film, Insurrection. Good character actor. Jada Pinkett, of course, is funny because the first Matrix was going to star Will Smith. He said no, so now his wife got to be in these movies. I know Jada Pinkett was in that Enter the Matrix video game, which I didn't play that video game, but I think she was a big part of that game. I played the Path of Neo game, but not Enter the Matrix. It's funny, someone commented recently on my Matrix review, said, yeah, I played that game, it sucked. Enter the Matrix, so maybe that's why I didn't play it. And a lot of conversations about control and there's this one guy who he fights called Seraph in order, sort of a secret handshake, secret way to get to the Oracle, and they have this back and forth. I know originally, I think at first they wanted Michelle Yeoh, but she had a contract, like she was busy with something else. Then they wanted Jet Li, and Jet Li said no, which I think was a mistake. I don't know why Jet Li said no. That would have been cool to see Jet Li in that scene, but then they got another actor who's worked. I forget the actor's name, but he's been in a lot of movies. He's worked with Jet Li, and I think he's worked with quite a few people. I think he was in The Forbidden Kingdom. I think he was the villain in The Forbidden Kingdom, which that's too bad if that's the case. Could be wrong on that. But the guy did fine. He'll come back in the third movie. That was a fun fight. And like I said, that's when sees the Oracle, and the Oracle even says the future. We didn't, that's what's important, the future. The only way to get there is together, which that kind of tells you for the ending of the trilogy. Which I don't know. Maybe people didn't want that. Maybe people just wanted I understand. I do understand. People wanted just us kicking the machine's ass, or maybe they just thought it was a boring movie or over dramatic. I disagree on those fronts. I really like what they did with this. I applaud Wachowskis for taking a chance. Again, I repeat myself, but it's funny how so many people say I only like the same things, yet there's plenty of the movies like the Matrix sequels that did try to do something different. Where are these people that their cry is, be different? This is different, but fuck that. But this is different, but no, not that, but be different. What about that? But not that, but be different. Because everyone's full of shit. Or, the truth of the matter is, everything is subjective, so when you talk about a movie, you can only talk about your subjective. That's sort of the thing with my channel. I have my own opinion, I have my own thoughts, I have my own distinct likes and dislikes, my own unique group of films I like and dislike for my own reasons. And then some people are going to say, well, he contradicts himself because he likes this movie. Yeah, because there's more to it. That's why my reviews are so fucking long, because I go in depth. Granted, I talk about the entire movie, but I always talk about the entire movies because I want to put out points. Oh, I don't like that idea, or that line of dialogue bothered me, or this was really cool, or this action scene, it was cool how they had the camera angles, or no shaky cam. And there's a lot more to a movie than just a one-sentence review, which a lot of more famous YouTube reviewers, they make like 5-minute reviews, and there's like 5 minutes long, and the last 2 minutes is, go to my Patreon. I have nothing against people against Patreon. But if it's a 5-minute review and 2 minutes of it is you promoting your Facebook, where's the rest of the review? I'm not saying I'm better than them, I'm just saying it's just asking a question. But getting back to this. That's when you get the Smith coming in. Hugo Weaving, I think, does a great job in these movies. Our connection, and he's now compelled to disobey. He's compelled to disobey the Matrix. You have the Burly Brawl scene, which again I know a lot of people make fun of because they feel it's too boring or too long, or they don't like the CGI at the end of it. Yes, this, again, the CGI is not photorealistic, but it's 15 fucking years ago. That's like me saying, you know what, I hate Schwarzenegger's Total Recall because that scene when he lifts the head up, his head moves a little bit stiffly. I still like that scene. I still think that looks cool. And I still love Total Recall from 1990. And maybe that's because there's other stuff within the movie I love that I can ease up on that. Same with this movie. There's so much stuff, and I love the idea of the action sequence. I love the look of the 360. I love what it's trying to do. That even if the effect is not 100% perfect, I like the attempt. I like the idea. Not two people fighting against a fucking train and then, okay, I wanted to kill kids, but because I did a boo-hoo, the heroes don't let me see the sunrise. Even though you've been there for a couple days, so you should have already seen the sunrise. I know people get pissed at me, but whatever. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about the Matrix films, is that they have a lot of people of race, people of color, but no one talks about that. Because it's not meant for political bullshit. It's just meant for the movie. And the actors do a good job in the movie. Lawrence Fishburne, Harold Perrineau, who plays Link. I forget the other actor's name. He's a guy who kind of has friction with Morpheus, and then at the end, he has friction with Morpheus, and then he kind of loves Jada Pinkett, but not. The actors do their jobs well. So after that scene, you have they go see this French guy who's talking about action, reaction. The only power is why, not what. And says, you know what? I can do whatever I want. Look at this girl. Gives her a piece of cake. Now see through her and pretty much gives this girl an orgasm because of a cake that she ate. And his power is, I want to understand why. Why do you want this? Which makes sense when you watch the rest of the movie because it comes to choice. When you get to the architect. And how he's explaining to Neo how this has been through about 6 times now. And pretty much it comes with a level of control where it's inevitable. The ones before him took like 10 like 10 men or 10 women or something. Set up a new Zion so that humanity won't be terminated, extinct. And most people chose the love humankind, while this Neo chose the love of an individual. Which on the surface you'd be like, well, that seems like a shitty thing to do. But I guess when the more you think about it, it's like, okay, we love ideals. And I know I'm skipping stuff, I'll get back to it, but we love ideals, right? We love the ideals. But there's a lot of people who love the ideals that don't follow them. So it makes them seem kind of hypocritical. I love the ideals, I don't follow them, but... So, which is more important, loving that or loving the individuals? And helping each person one by one, instead of just being a face in the... Instead of being a crowd, look at each face in the crowd. If we could help people one by one, pay it forward, whatever, maybe that could be more of a... Maybe that could help stuff more. And yeah, that goes into the power of love, which I know is quite a cheesy idea, but I love that idea. I love it when they have even films like Shocker. At the end, it's the power of love. Back to the Future, it's the power of love. Like that's more the song than the movie, but I love when they do that in flicks. You know, I'm fine with the power of love type of motif, the cliche. I'm a sucker for it. But before that, the French guy, I think the actor does a good job. I like the line he says, like, "Where you going? I drank too much wine. I must take a piss. Cause and effect." And then you have, I think her name is Monica Bellucci. Bellucci, not Belushi, but Monica Bellucci. I believe that's Monica. I think it's the woman from Shoot 'Em Up. And so, okay, I'll help you, but I want a kiss from Neo, which pisses Trinity off. Goes to the tea maker. I love when they find him. There's literally a million fucking keys in his room. And that's where you get the fight in the chateau, which is a really cool fight, long fight, uh, good wire work, practical. And okay, with the wire work, sometimes quite a few times I've said I don't like wire work because in this reality it makes sense where they've established that the rules of gravity don't apply, that the rules that they're inside a computer program, so the context it's being done with makes my brain go, okay, I get it. This is a character who can fly, who can do all this. This is a world that isn't the real world. When you're fucking Steven Seagal and exit wounds and you're doing all this shit, I'm like, no, I don't buy Steven Seagal doing it. I don't buy him. Like, no, I don't buy it. Crush Titan Dragon, I'm not a fan of, but that's more like I'm not a fan of the story, and I'm not a big Ang Lee guy. I didn't see the one with the tiger on the boat, whatever it was called, The Life of Pi. I didn't see that. And I can have some fun with the 2003 Hulk, I will admit. I will admit, kind of in the way where it tried to do something different, and I was, I'll wait until I do a review of that, but I don't hate that movie. I know I should, but I don't. It's not the best Hulk movie, but I don't mind it. But here, the wire word makes sense to me in this world of not being under the laws of reality. So it makes sense in the world that the story's being told in. And I love the Chateau fight. I love the highway chase sequence. I love the two guys who can turn into ghosts. I already talked about the highway chase. That's a fucking insane sequence. So you have these great the Burly Brawl scene I love. I love you just kicking Smith's ass, kicking him against the wall, flying back, punching, kicking, throwing, kicking a guy, hitting a guy up, and the guy flies up in the air. Like, these are the superhero fights. That's what they are. They're superhero fights, which are a dime a dozen nowadays, and I prefer this stuff. I like that they're rated R. You don't have to hold back. They come with this plan, they get to the story, and again, yeah, Colonel Sanders explaining stuff that I talked about before, how you're the sixth version, you gotta pick a few, rebuild, or the death of humanity. And throughout he's talking about how no matter what, I can't make a perfect Matrix. And when you watch the whole trilogy, you realize why. And this architect doesn't know it yet. But it's because the Matrix is just the mind. It doesn't have the body or the spirit. And that's the final part of the puzzle. All three have to join together in order to be complete and as one. And that's the thing, like you look at the Animatrix, you realize that in the future, humans are not the best type of people. And machines were not that one-dimensional evil. And Sadly, humanity is not always that great. But at the same time, when you watch the Matrix films and you see these characters like Neo and Trinity and Morpheus and Link and all these other people, you realize, there are good people as well. It's like the love that Neo has with Trinity, and even the architect says hope, your greatest strength and your greatest weakness. But hope does save the day. Does the Superman thing fly out of the building as it explodes? I love the look of that scene. Even though the Neo with the articles of clothing is not photorealistic, I don't know, I just love I still love the look of it. Maybe because I keep thinking of anime, so it's like, oh, it makes me even think more of an anime. I don't know, like a live action anime. It just doesn't bother me. It really doesn't, and he loves the individual more, and he saves Trinity, and he scoops the bullet out and gives her life like she gave him life at the end of the first movie. I love the music in that scene, the orchestral score. And then Neo has to tell Morpheus that what he believed in was a lie. It was just another system of control. And then they have to escape, and the ship in the real world blows up. But Neo is able to take these Sentinels out in the real world. So you see, okay, something is changed. He's evolving even more. And he takes these guys out, but he's unconscious. And now he's unconscious with the body of another unconscious body, which is Agent Smith. And he said, to be concluded. Which I know people groaned at that, but considering it was only going to be a couple months, because the second one came out the end of the year, I was fine with that. It made me want to go see the third one, and I did, and I really enjoyed the movie. I would say this is easily one of my favorite trilogies. I was going to say my favorite trilogy, but that's hard because I like the Evil Dead trilogy. People say, what about the Indiana Jones trilogy? But I like the fourth one, so I consider that 4 movies. What about the Rambo trilogy? I like the fourth one. I love it, so I consider that 4 movies. Back to the Future trilogy, I have problems with the third one. I don't hate the third Back to the Future, but I have problems with the West one. I don't know, I don't hate it, but I don't love it as much as the first 2 Back to the Future films. The Star Wars trilogy, I can say I like the Matrix trilogy more than the Star Wars trilogy. I know I'm alone in that. I like the Star Wars trilogy, but I like these more. Like the Evil Dead trilogy I like. I probably put these above it though. I probably would say this is my favorite trilogy of all time. I think I would say that. Like an actual trilogy that didn't have more movies, like a 4th and a 5th. I know they're thinking of rebooting this. Don't. Just don't. Or you know what? Maybe you should. Then when it's such so much ass, then maybe they'll look at this and be like, you know what? This will get them more praise. Maybe you should do it. That way, these sequels will be like, you know what? These films were not that bad, and then maybe they'll get more love. Like, the Star Wars prequels kind of get a little bit more love now, since these shitty new ones. Maybe you should. Do just a reboot, has nothing to do with these, and then when they suck so much ass, then this will get some love. No matter what the fuck I'll say, they'll do whatever the hell they want, so. But anyway, those are some of my thoughts on The Matrix Reloaded. Very satisfying sit, very satisfying watch. Like I said, I love these movies. This was a great sequel, action-packed sequel, wonderful set pieces, solid music and score, great cast of characters and people, interesting ideas, taking the formula and turning it on its head, where it's not just good versus evil. It's more complicated. A lot of people got pissed about that. I find it interesting. An underrated sequel. decided I think the third film is an underrated sequel. But thanks for watching. Wait, actually, I said this. I fucking forgot. I don't know if I said this. If I didn't, to show this off, because I wanted to get into the review first. But this is the Matrix box set. I said in my review of the first film I would show this. If you made it this far, here you go. But it's the DVD set. I don't have the Blu-ray set of this, but it's pretty expensive, I think. So I'm fine with the Blu-rays to see them in HD and then having these on DVD. Maybe one day for completion's sake, but this is the first film. Really cool artwork on the disc and the cover. Yeah, two commentaries. One is the philosophers, Dr. Cornel West and Ken Wilber. Those were interesting to listen to. And then these shitty critics. Tom McCarthy of Variety, John Powers of Vogue, and David Thompson of the New Biographical Dictionary of Film. Vogue? Really? Vogue? And then The Matrix Revisited, which is a making of the film. Feature-length making of. And then you have the second movie, which I already showed. And some nice artwork. And then you have Revisited, which they talk about how they made these sequences. You have the third film, which I'll tell you, I'll take you like a week or two to try to, probably more than a week to try to get through all these features. It's a lot of features, which I appreciate. Seems like this is one franchise Warner Bros. Gives a shit about. And you have the Animatrix. Again, I would like to put this kind of setup on Blu-ray one day down the road. And the Burley, well actually it's the Matrix Experience. I know the holder is a bit broken. This is what I was talking about. See, I think James Cameron saw this and stole it for Avatar. Yeah, the place is broke, so this disc goes out. The Roots of the Matrix, insightful documentaries that probe the historical, philosophical, and technological inspirations of the trilogy. The Burly Man Chronicles profiles the craftspeople, actors, and filmmakers who devote years of their lives to the movies. And then music videos, TV spots, trailers, concept art, drawings, storyboards. Really cool stuff. And then a booklet. Again, really cool artwork. But you have yeah. The New York Times demands that Hollywood deliver action films that are loud, dumb, and obvious. A.O. Scott of the New York Times actually said that when he was complaining about these films. I want my action films loud, dumb, and obvious. Well, I guess he better love the Transformer films, otherwise he's fucking bullshit. But yeah, some nice artwork. Well, way they did this, the Matrix, then Revisited. Reloaded. And the making of that. Revolutions, which will be in the next review. The Animatrix. roots of the Matrix. They're making of material. You have a lot of trailers and TV spots for all three films. Music videos. Marilyn Manson, Rock is Dead. POD, Sleeping Awake. The Matrix Online, which was a thing at the time. And then that's just like credits. So. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. And stay tuned for my next review, which will be of the Matrix Revolutions. Which a lot of people were disappointed with. I was not. I thought it ended the right way. We'll see you guys later.